Hello again, everyone. Today I want to answer a common query I get about something that scares the life out of those who get them. Panic attacks. Sometimes the query comes from people who have just quit their addiction and have they panic in new situations, sober. They're not used to it. Often, though, it's from the many people suffering with anxiety. The common theme, though, is wanting to understand what is going on when they have these attacks, and of course, is it normal? Panic attacks happen when the amygdala is this little pea-sized thing in the brain. Think of it as the first responder. So what happens is the amygdala receives a perceived physical or emotional threat. Basically, it pattern matches the data it receives against existing data in our memory. Thing is, though, the data it receives is through our five senses. So it is only able to pattern match the incoming data, for example, sound, smells, images, etc., against memories with similar data. This is why the panic attack can happen in very different circumstances than the original traumatic event. This is common with trauma sufferers, as it only takes a smell or sound, for example, to trigger the emotions that in turn will pattern match and set in motion what's called the fight or flight response. So let's go through the symptoms and why they happen. By the end of this explanation, hopefully, you will realize that when you are having a panic attack, it is simply a natural reaction to a perceived threat. And hopefully that helps you to manage it. Okay, so here we go. Let's start with the pounding heart. This occurs because the heart is simply pumping faster as it prepares for the increased demand it expects when you will have to fight or run. That is, it's pumping more blood to the areas needed, such as your muscles, your central nervous system. In other words, it's natural. The shallow breathing. We need to take in more oxygen quickly to increase our energy, thereby fueling our muscles to get moving quickly and get us out of danger. Again, a natural reaction. We may start sweating. As we expect strenuous exercise soon, we may begin to sweat so as not to be too hot. Again, it's normal. One that can be very embarrassing is the possible need to go to the toilet. This, again, is a natural reaction also, as the kidneys, the bladder, the intestines get shut down to make more blood available for the upcoming expected fight or flight. Shortness of breath. As the attack continues, or the fight or flight response continues, our body realizes that the excess oxygen is not being utilized. That is the threat not happening, or the fight or flight not happening, not needed. So now we try to expel that excess oxygen. Again, a natural response. But this is where it gets tricky, and we begin to panic. As we expel the excess oxygen, we also expel, unfortunately, the carbon dioxide. Problem is, we need that carbon dioxide to transport oxygen around our body. CO2 is a gas, and the oxygen molecule can be quite sticky, so it needs something to help it get around the body. This then tricks us that we are short of breath, and we begin literally gasping for air, which of course makes matters worse as we expel yet more carbon dioxide. Now we panic as we believe something serious is happening, such as a heart attack or even that we must be dying. Of course we are not. Left to its own devices, the fight or flight / panic attack will burn out in 10 minutes or so. Worst case scenario, you may faint. But even then, the natural automatic reaction when you wake up is to again start breathing normally. Other symptoms: sharp chest pain. This is the result of the strain on the chest muscles when you hyperventilate. So again, normal. And nearly all the remainders are from hyperventilating. The trembling and shaking, a little bit of it's from the shallow breathing, but it's mostly the result of the hyperventilation. Dizziness. Some people experience numbness, weakness, difficulty speaking. Again, all hyperventilation. A big one clients often say is fear of losing control. So what's happening there is, without meaning to, you've turned on the fight or flight response, which of course is designed to get us out of danger, except you're not escaping from danger. Now you feel that you are not in control, and this frightens you. Your body is fully prepped for going to war, and you are sat there thinking, what the fuck? And yes, it's normal. The amygdala's response was well-intentioned. It was to, a perceived threat because of pattern matching. And you're all prepped up and no fight or flight to go to. A sense of detachment. You feel like an observer watching all this craziness, thinking, wow, is this even real? Funny enough, it's actually a good thing. It's actually a natural defense mechanism to try to lower your emotional arousal. So what to do? Well, as many of these symptoms are caused by hyperventilation, it is essential to learn the 7-11 deep breathing technique, or similar. It doesn't have to be 7-11. This stimulates what is known as the parasympathetic nervous system, which is actually the opposite of the fight or flight response. Fight or flight is simply the term for the activation of the sympathetic nervous system. So now instead, with the deep breathing, instead of getting you ready for action, deep breathing techniques activate a natural bodily response that can be described as rest and digest. So out breaths decrease your blood pressure, dilate your pupils, and slow your heart rate, thus lowering the emotional arousal in the process. Practicing a breathing technique a few times a day, especially for anxious people, will lower your overall stress levels in the long term. It's important to realize that it's the out breaths that stimulate the response. So it stands to reason that a breathing technique with longer out breaths than in breaths will be more effective at lowering emotional arousal, hence the 7-11. So yeah, hope that helps and answers the many questions I've been getting. And in summary, it's a natural reaction. The fight or flight response is well-intentioned. It's to keep you out of danger. And the following symptoms are all natural reactions that cascade. So yeah, one tip, learn the deep breathing technique. Till next time, cheers.